It all began at our annual neighborhood barbecue, the kind where everyone shows up with their best homemade dishes. Kids race barefoot across the lawns, and the air hums with laughter and the smell of grilled food. I'd spent the morning flipping burgers, chatted with neighbors, doing my best to keep the atmosphere light. Claire, my wife, had been cold and distant lately, though she never let that show in public. She always wore that perfect, practiced smile that made everyone believe we were the picture of a happy couple. As the drink started to flow, her usual filter slipped away, like it always did. I saw her standing by the fire pit, surrounded by a few of our neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Jennings from across the street, and Daniel, the new guy who had just moved in. Daniel was early 30s, single, confident, effortlessly charming, the kind of man people naturally gravitate toward. I was at the grill when I heard Claire's voice cut through the laughter. Honestly, she said with a laugh, if there were a trade-in program for husbands, I'd swap Mark for a newer model. The group chuckled awkwardly, their eyes flicking toward me to see my reaction. She grinned and added, someone who actually knows how to dress. Maybe, she gestured toward Daniel, someone like him. Now that's husband material. This time, the laughter that followed was sharper, more nervous than amused. My stomach twisted. It wasn't the first time she made me the butt of her jokes, but saying in front of everyone felt different, crueler. Still, I forced a polite smile and said nothing. I'd learned long ago that calling her out only gave her more power. But Daniel didn't laugh. He took a sip of his drink, his eyes narrowing slightly. Be careful what you wish for, Claire, he said calmly. Some people trade something real and loyal for something shiny and realize too late that shine doesn't mean substance. The air went still. Her smirk faltered. Claire gave a shaky laugh and said, "Oh, come on. It's just a joke." Daniel's reply was quiet but carried weight. Maybe, but most jokes come from a truth, don't they? That shut her up completely. She looked away, pretending to fix her drink while the others awkwardly changed the subject. The tension hung in the air like smoke after a fire. As the night went on, I noticed how she avoided Daniel's eyes, how her laughter sounded forced. For once, it wasn't me who looked embarrassed. It was her. I kept my cool, kept serving food, pretending nothing had happened. But inside, something shifted. That one moment, that single exchange, revealed more about our marriage than years of quiet resentment ever had. When the party ended and the guests were gone, the silence in our house was thick and heavy. Claire busied herself in the kitchen, clattering dishes with trembling hands. Finally, she snapped, "You didn't have to just stand there looking all pathetic while he humiliated me." I looked up from my chair, exhausted. "Humiliated you, Claire? You did that yourself. You joked about trading your husband for a newer model. What reaction were you expecting? Applause?" Her eyes flashed. "It was a joke, Mark. Everyone jokes like that. You always take things too seriously." I sighed. "No, Claire. Not everyone jokes about replacing their spouse. You do, because somewhere deep down you mean it." Her jaw tightened. "You're unbelievable. Daniel overreacted, and now you're siding with him." "I'm not siding with anyone," I said quietly. "I'm just tired. Tired of being the man you tear down so you can feel superior." She stared at me for a long moment, then scoffed. "Maybe if you acted like a man worth bragging about, I wouldn't have to joke." That one stung, but it didn't break me this time. I stood, meeting her glare. "You think your comments make you sound clever, Claire, but they only show how hollow you become. You treat kindness like weakness and loyalty like a burden." Her face wavered for a second before she turned away. "Whatever. I'm going to bed." She stomped down the hall, leaving me alone with her words echoing in my head. The next morning, the house was quiet but tense. I spent the day mowing the lawn, fixing the fence, just trying to clear my head. Around noon, Daniel wandered over. "Hey, Mark," he said. "Need a hand?" We worked side by side in silence for a bit before he spoke again. "Listen, I hope I didn't make things worse last night. I just couldn't sit there while she talked to you like that." I shook my head. "You didn't make it worse. You said what everyone else was too polite to say." He nodded thoughtfully. "You deserve respect, man, not public ridicule disguised as humor. It was strange hearing that from someone who barely knew me. But it hit deeper than he realized, because for years, I've been waiting for anyone, to see through her act and recognize what life with her was really like. That evening, Claire came out to porch, her tone unusually soft. "Everyone's talking about last night," she muttered, "even Mrs. Jennings." I looked at her and said evenly, "Maybe that's what it took for you to finally hear yourself." She folded her arms, her pride flickering like a flame about to die. "You're enjoying this, aren't you? Seeing me embarrassed for once." I shook my head slowly. "No, Claire, I'm not enjoying it. I'm just done pretending. You spent years tearing me down, not just privately, but publicly. Maybe now you'll understand that words carry weight." She exhaled heavily. "It wasn't that serious, Mark. People forget stuff like this in a day or two." I held her gaze, calm and steady. "Maybe they will, but I won't, because that wasn't just a joke. It was the truth of what's been wrong between us for years. You stopped seeing me as your partner and started treating me like a prop." For once, she didn't have a comeback. She just stared at me like she was seeing a stranger. And maybe she was, because for years I'd been silent, letting her dominate every moment, every word. But not anymore. Later that week, Daniel stopped by to return a few tools. Claire was sitting on the porch when he arrived, looking uneasy, almost small. "Hey, Daniel," she said, forcing a smile. "About the other night. Sorry if I made things awkward." He shrugged lightly. "No need to apologize to me. Just remember, Claire, when you joke about trading someone in, you show people what you truly value and what you might lose because of it." She blinked, caught off guard. He handed me the wrench, nodded politely, and walked away. When his footsteps faded, Claire turned to me. "You both must think I'm a terrible person." I was quiet for a moment before answering. "I think you've forgotten what respect feels like. You've been chasing attention from strangers for so long. You can't tell the difference between being desired and being loved." Her eyes welled up with tears, but they weren't tears of apology. They were a shame. "I didn't mean to hurt you," she whispered. "I know," I said softly. "You just wanted attention. But attention fades, Claire. Dignity doesn't." That night, she slept in the guest room. The house felt heavier, but somehow freer. Maybe she learned something that night. Maybe she didn't. But for the first time, I realized it didn't matter, because Daniel's words had done more than silence her. They reminded me that respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you reclaim. The end.